people as a group have some ceremonies, have some norms, and have some rules when it comes to living together in the society. And basically, the knowledge about the culture defines all those aspects as a crucial for human for society to shape the groups. So this is about how people communicate in the group, how people live together, how people provide safety within the group. This is all about how. And when I think more about those three aspects, I see that there is something in common, that those how can be answered by agile practices or agile techniques that we know. For example, let's say ceremonies. Ceremonies in the society, in the group, those are actually the artifacts that people get together, people define the goals, people discuss what they would like to achieve, people live together, right? So in agile world, we know that we have a lot of ceremonies, like daily stand-up, like retrospective, like sprint planning meeting, and so on and so forth. So I see the same pattern here. Regarding norms, norm is such a thing, such a, I would say, law or a regulation that defines how do we live together and how do we cooperate, for example, during ceremonies. So let's say that we have retrospective meeting, and the norm would be what's the participant list, who should participate, who shouldn't participate in the retrospective. For example, that team managers are not the ones who are most important on the ceremonies. Teams sometimes would like to feel safe, so sometimes on the retrospective there is a request that manager should stay stay away for a while. So this is the role. The other role that could be during the stand-up is the excuse me, not the role, but the norm. So the other norm for the stand-up could be that we are on time, we are punctual, we are just finishing right after 15 minutes, and so on and so forth. So the list is going on and on. What I would like to emphasize here is that those aspects of how we get together on the ceremonies are named norms in the society. And the last but not least, roles. So roles is basically all about which particular person will be doing in the society, in the group, and ultimately during the ceremony. So that's how I found Agile working with the culture. There are also two more aspects that was interesting to me: the languages and stories. So in the society, in the prehistoric era, there were some languages, different ones that we have right now, and some stories that people were passing from one generation to another. And this defines what? So this defines what people are trying to achieve, what's the goal, what they are passing from generation to generation, and also what they are trying to achieve and build in such society. And for me, this what answers the question about DevOps, or DevOps answers the questions more that way, about what we are trying to build here, what's our goal, what tools do we use in order to achieve to build a software, what techniques, and so on and so forth. So that's how for me it's connected. And why it's so important for us as a human beings. It is so important because we are hardwired to bond. We are part of society, as we are as a human being. So we survived on this planet because we were able to build relationships together and build the connections. We are not the strongest creatures in this world. We are not the fastest one, but we survived during those early years. That's why, because we were able to build the connections, to build the bonds, to build the groups and squads, and finally, ultimately, societies. So I talked a little bit about this culture thing, and now I would like to move more towards agile. Now our word, our IT business. So those 4 sentences you may recognize as a Agile Manifesto. More precisely, this is the left-hand side of Agile Manifesto. So those aspects that we tend to value more. And looking on that one, I see those phrases, the words that it's important for me. So interactions, collaborations, and responding. And why it's so important for me? Because Agile culture is about interaction, collaboration, and responding. So once we are trying to achieve the goal, such as producing the software, we have to interact together, we have to collaborate, or we need collaboration, and we need to respond quickly to our clients' needs, to the changing business domains, and so on. So if you let's move it on the left, and from the right hand side, let's bring up those culture pieces. So ceremonies, norms, and roles. So now you can see that for me, agile culture means all those agile practices in terms of collaborations, interactions, and responding to change that are connected with ceremonies we defined in agile world, norms that we have and regulations, rules, let's say, and the roles that agile frameworks define. So coming back to the culture again, I would like to share with you the most interesting definition of the culture that I found. So there is a guy, Gerd Hofstede. This guy was an engineer, but also a psychologist, and he was working in IBM corporation, working on team effectiveness aspects. And he defines the culture that culture is the collective programming of the mind which distinguish the members of one group from the members to the other group. That's for me very, very interesting because it connects, this definition connects the society aspect with the engineering aspect and programming aspect that we are working nowadays. And also this guy, Gerd Hofstede, in his book defined something called the human programming and level of human programming. So let's start from the bottom. We have the human nature. Human nature is everything that we inherited from the past generations. We have incorporated in automatically in our brain, and he called it operating system. This is sort of the same like operating system on our laptops. And the second part is the culture part. So we already talked about it a little bit. And this is the collective programming. So the collective of the society that builds together the group and defines some regulations which then program this particular group of people. And the last but not least, personality, it's a mental programming. And but personality is basically everything that we have in our minds. This is the unique for every human at Earth, that we have such a personality. No one has other same personality as we are. And this level is mental programming, so programming of our personality. And why is so important today for me on this talk? Because this aspect, this place where the personality lives, is actually where the mindset lives. So the mindset is all the things that we have in our head in terms of who we are, where we go, what we would like to achieve. So our personal goals. I like definitions, as you see. So I found the definitions about the mindset. Also, what does it mean? Because I would like to dig into the details. And the mindset, it is beliefs, attitudes, and assumptions about who we are, about us and about world around us. So all the beliefs, attitudes, assumptions that we can have about every single thing on the earth. And again, coming back to our development world, DevOps approach. You may recognize all the phases of the software development for seeing on the screen, and those are no longer phases, as we know that the waterfall it's already gone, the waterfall framework, and we tend to think about those phases as type of the activities that people are doing during the software development. So we have coding, then building a package, then testing a package. Some quality engineers can test the package, then deploy this package to production, and then operate, run it on production, and monitor if there's anything wrong with my software. So contradicting with the mindset, or checking the connections between them, DevOps mindset for me, it's all these beliefs, attitudes, and assumptions that I have about those activities in those groups, those phases. So, for example, as an engineer, I have the belief that my code is not so good, that I'm junior developer, maybe I'm shy, and I don't think that I created a good piece of code. So then I will be afraid of pair programming, for example. That's the mindset that I may have, and that's not supporting mindset. What I need to change my mindset to more supportive. So then I'm open to feedback about my code. I would like to learn, and then I will be able to do pair programming with the guys. Similar thing about attitudes and assumptions about, for example, quality engineers, that I may feel that quality engineers, they are just want to find the bug in my code, and that's their goal, and I don't like this process, so I don't like working with them. And the better mindset would be that those guys are here to help me and to find improve my quality of my software. So that's how I find the DevOps mindset. I also checked what industry says about DevOps, and I found that Amazon, for example, they said that communication and collaboration is one of the key aspects of DevOps. So again, communication and collaboration. Puppet and Splunk, in their report about DevOps, they say that sharing was one of the most significant aspect in DevOps. So communication, collaboration, and sharing. Those are the aspects that that companies on the market says that it's important. Here is the picture of the tools that you may use during producing software. I guess you may use Jira. You can use Git for the source code. You can have Dockerized application, and so on and so forth. This is everything important in terms of the DevOps activities, but what's the most important are the relations between people who are creating the software. And that's my main message today for you, that relations between those guys that are producing software are the crucial part, not only for me, but also for the many organizations on the market. So those organizations provided some team effectiveness research that they did, and I would like to show you in next seconds which organizations provided this research. So we can see on the list Google, Facebook, University of Pennsylvania, some psychologists, many different ones. And what all of them have in common is this meaning aspect, impact, and community relationships. All of the aspects that I already talked. So basically, team effectiveness means that relations and purpose are the most crucial, or one of the most crucial, in terms of our effectiveness. What I would like to share with you today also is what influence these relationships and purpose, and how we can shape it, and how we improve our effectiveness and also our fulfillment at work. We have those three formulas. Those are chemicals formulas actually, and there are three neurotransmitters that we have incorporated in our brain. So the first one is the dopamine. And dopamine is released to our brain when we achieve the goal. So for example, in the prehistoric era, when we were hunting, when we were finding the sign of the animal, the trap on the ground, we were getting the dopamine shot. And that was the motivation for us to go further and hunt and provide us food. Also, the same mechanism is right now used by social media, for example, by likes. So when you get a like, you have the dopamine shot, you feel happy, you have the motivation, the energy. The challenge, though, is that this shot doesn't last long. So you need to have constant likes, constant shots in order to feel more energetic and more happy. What lasts longer is a serotonin, and serotonin helps people. Serotonin is released to our brain if we help others. So basically, it is released when we feel proud. Let's put it that way. It is released when we feel proud, and we feel proud, for example, when we can help others. Of course, there are a lot of different ways how to feel proud, and companies, they recognize that, and also they are providing, for example, companies award and so on and so forth for people to feel proud. But the easiest way to feel proud is to help someone. And the funny thing is that the serotonin is released not only to your brain when you are helping someone, but research shows that it's released also to the brain of person who you help. So it's double effect. And the last research also says that it also is released when someone is observing it. So when I'm observing when someone else is helping the other person, I can also get this serotonin shot in my brain, because I feel that I may be connected with those guys, that my team helped another team, and I personally didn't help anyone, but I feel proud that I belong to this team. And the last but not least is oxytocin. So this is released when we build connections, when we build relationships between ourselves. Why it's so important? Because when we feel connected to people, our cortisol level is going down. So we are less stressed, we have more oxytocin, we feel more happy. And for example, nowadays with this COVID situation, you may feel that you don't know what's happened, but you are missing something. Yeah, you would like to meet with someone, you would like to discuss with someone. For example, the good example that I gave is about conferences, where when we are on the conferences, like offline, like in person, we tend to come to the conferences with our friend or with someone else in order to share the experience. Right now we are just online. I'm very happy that we have this setup, but definitely it's not supporting this oxytocin part. So at the end, I would like to tell you what the fulfillment means to me, and also to the research that I did. That fulfillment is this dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin flow over time. When you have balance over time about those three, you can feel happy and feel fulfilled. Those are two corner cases. One corner case is that when you have this dopamine in red, so you are achieving the goals, you have some extreme sports that you are doing, something like this, you get these dopamines, but this dopamine is going down and up and down and up. But serotonin, you may not help many people during that time because you are focused on yourself. So level of serotonin is low, and oxytocin also can be low. So you are not feeling happy. Something is missing. On the other hand, though, when you have serotonin on the high level, you have helped a lot of people. You work for non-profit organizations. You may be happy, you may feel proud, you may have some relations, but you are not achieving the goals. For example, you don't have money for living because you are just helping others. You are not achieving your goals. That's also not healthy. So what is healthy? That's my variation about that. But the healthy style is all those three chemicals in our brains to be on the balanced level. So not too much, not too low, but on the balanced level. And that's why we can improve those three. And that's my way how I improve it with those three aspects. I show up and I can be seen when I work. I'm grateful for the work people are doing for me, and I belong. I try to belong to the group I work with. So you can think about your ways to increase those three chemicals, neurotransmitters, in those activities in software development. So how to show up when I'm building a code, how to pair program with the guys to be seen and to have relationships with them, how to be grateful for the operations guys that they are helping me deploying my application, how to belong to the group who run application on production. So that's my way. I encourage you to use it. And that's how we can turn the fun part in the work that we tend to have in the companies to the joy part. And that's how we can feel fulfilled. At the end, I would like to leave you with the think about the impact. So every one of us would like to have an impact, I guess. And how we do it, we may not be able to have an impact when working in the big corporations. We have very limited area that we can have impact, but we still can have an impact on person on the left, right, on my side, and person on the right. And Jane Goodall defines it that way. I will read it for you, this quotation. You cannot get through a single day without having an impact on the world around you. What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you would like to make.